You know, it's easy to say put them away for life, but I think the reality is that as society we need to educate ourselves. I think that's our best defense.
Punishment itself is not going to solve it. There has to be some kind of a follow-up. I've been punished before, nothing worked.
There's some interesting information from the Ottawa Police Service on a local level when it comes to sexual offenses. Of all sexual offenses reported, 74% sexual assaults, 19 of total offenses were child-related. Over 560 sexual offenses in last year. Sergeant Jeff Webster of the Ottawa Police Service Abuse Unit joins us now. Good morning and welcome, Sergeant. It's good to have you here.
Thanks, Kurt.
Those are some interesting statistics. Is that alarming in any way? Is that on average? Is that comparable to other cities in this country?
Well, I've never done studies, but I think it's probably pretty par for the course.
Right.
The problem exists, the crimes keep happening, and we're there in response to the crimes to deal with the offenders,
right.
The victims. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the police service and the things that you do, you're investigating these crimes, but you're also interested in the results of attempts to rehab individuals along these lines. I mean, it's not something you're involved in, but I'm sure you're interested in that because of what happens and the kind of things you investigate.
For sure, yeah. The Canadian system works. I think people sometimes, I got a call on the weekend, someone expressing some frustration that there aren't enough convictions and the court system is too lenient and that sort of thing. The sentencing that we give in Canada, the judicial system, is less than the United States if you compare, I think.
Right.
So what happens to these people as our system tries to reintegrate them and that sort of thing is of course of a concern to us, and
right.
how they're treated.
You've been a police officer for a long time. And you've been on this unit for what, 3 years now?
4 years.
4
with
years?
The sex assault child abuse
right,
unit. Yeah.
Right. Is it difficult to investigate these cases?
There are challenges. It is difficult, but there's also a lot of reward in dealing with young people. And success for me is interviewing young people, making them feel comfortable, getting all the disclosures we can get from them in a proper way, because there are guidelines how we do our interviews.
Yeah.
We're trained, and getting all the information we can to properly put it before the court and to make them feel at ease. So challenging, yes, but very rewarding. When you deal with a serious case, you put it properly before the courts, if that's what the families want to do, and move forward. To me, that's a sense of pride and an interest in that.
Is it difficult to investigate some of these cases? Because unlike other crimes, in a majority, I would guess, there are no witnesses, there's no evidence really to go by on a lot of these cases.
The evidence, the primary evidence, is usually the victim. So we have, in child abuse cases, we have the children come in, we set a framework, work within some boundaries of what's acceptable within the justice system about talking to them, because we have to be careful not to lead them or create memories, and to hear from them. So their statements form our evidence. So we can go to court just based on a child's evidence. We assess what they're saying. Is it correct speak for a child? Are they using words that a 5 or a 6-year-old would
So there are triggers to determine if in fact this is believable or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it is a case of one person's word against the other, we are allowed to assess both people's version. We do use polygraph testing on accused people.
Is that's a legality? That's perfectly legal to do.
Legal to do. The courts don't recognize it.
No, not in a courtroom, but
right. The interview portion of that, could be used against an accused if we lay charges. For sure, they're cautioned. So it's a tool. But the evidence that we present can be just the word of the child in court, and tested by the judge for credibility.
Right, because of the situation that we're talking about here, that is oftentimes the only thing that you can rely on and use as evidence.
Sometimes. And then, of course, there's DNA evidence, possibly, depending on the offense. There's what the suspect or the accused does afterwards, who he talks to, if he gets on social media. All that data is useful to the police in assessing what to do, how to move forward with the case.
Yeah. What do you like in the United States? It's a common practice to let the public know that a convicted pedophile is living in their neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Living or working in their neighborhood. We don't do that in Canada.
No, I just mentioned before we went on camera that I had dealt with a fellow from Arkansas, and I went online and queried the Arkansas sex offender database, and it comes up, photographs, pictures, address, what they did, and it's on the net for all to see.
Yeah.
We don't do that. Annette had asked me this morning for some statistics, so I contacted the OPP in Orillia, who manage the Ontario Sex Offender Registry. We sort of facilitate its workings within the city of Ottawa.
Right.
And they have a site if you want to go query what they do, but we don't release stats on how many there are in Ottawa or where they are.
Is it your opinion that putting these public notices out, would it be helpful to police investigations or
a hindrance?
Yeah.
Well, OPP run it. They've set up their system with an abundance of community consultation, lawyers. So what I think, personally, what I want to know if one lived on my street, a registered sex offender, I would want to know. But in fairness to the process, that information isn't given out.
There's this different system altogether here in Canada.
That's right.
It's not exactly as the United States. One last question I want to ask you. Is there something the general public can do to help? When it comes down to identifying cases or letting police know about something they deem suspicious, is there something the general public can do?
There's one really important thing, and I just picked it up a short time ago in talking to someone else in your studio. And always reminded, trust your instincts. So if you're in your community, there's someone on your street that hangs around your kids and makes you uncomfortable, and he says things that are uncomfortable. If he shows up every time your daughter is out washing the car and wants to talk to her, if he shows up while you're out for dinner with your wife, if he makes you uncomfortable, trust your instincts, monitor that person, and phone police, notify people.
Interesting that a gut feeling can oftentimes turn out to be a true indicator of what's going on.
Huge.
Sergeant Jeff Webster is a member of the Ottawa Police Service Abuse Unit. We appreciate your time and appreciate your efforts in the community. Jeff, I really appreciate that. Thanks for
Kurt.
coming.